Minutes of Heaven we call the D1Baseball CWS Daily Preview. I am your host, Michael Patrick Rooney, joined by President Aaron Fitt and Vice President Kendall J. Rogers. Not really sure why I did it that way, but good morning, boys. How we doing?
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good. Kendall, I put you as Vice President because you make things happen. So like we got Fitzy, who's our figurehead, the face of the franchise, and you're the engine behind it. What do you think about that?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good job trying to save that one, bud.
Although I have to say, Fitzy, you're more controversial with your verbiage. Kendall's more,
He is.
yeah.
I'm more kind of like honest, to the point.
No, I think it's the complete opposite.
I was going to go
You're
the
the
opposite.
politician.
You're the one.
Aaron did finish number 1 in his high school class, so I'm okay with that.
You're the politician, though. You're the guy who
Sure.
keeps your true thoughts in the holster because you don't want to ruffle any feathers.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
Remington Pate in the commenters is calling me out for being biased. BIAST.
Ooh,
Favoritism to Fitzy.
That's a great point, Remington.
Ooh, that's a very good point, Remington. Never noticed that.
Yeah, Texans are tough though, Remington. Kendall can
we do not care.
There's a low care factor in East Texas. So, boys, let's talk about our postseason presenting sponsor, Wilson. For anyone that's at the CWS this week, you absolutely have to come check out the Omaha experience in the Baseball Village. It is fantastic. Team Rooney has we have broken some plastic, purchasing some awesome swag. You've basically got 4 of your favorite baseball brands under one roof: Wilson, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, and Evo Shield. It is fantastic. So again, many thanks to our postseason presenting sponsor, Wilson. Gentlemen, let's play the feud. Let's do let's talk about yesterday and let's talk about today. So really a bummer in the first game. Notre Dame just laid an egg against A&M, and I don't want to take anything away from A&M because this is kind of the beauty of A&M's team is they kind of muck these games up, and they're just so good with the ugliness. But I guess I'll open it up this way, guys. The best version of Notre Dame was really it's beautiful baseball to watch. It's unique. You just don't see it that often at the collegiate level. But we didn't get it the last 2 games. They played brilliantly against Texas, but not the last 2 games. And, Nathan Detmer deserves a lot of credit for that, I suppose. But, Kendall, why don't you kick us off? What's an observation you have from that first game?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. A&M starts off the game. They're in the bottom of the first with the error of Trevor Warner, and they kind of bounce back. And, I just thought 2 things stood out to me from this game. Number one, Nathan Detmer kind of answered the call, a couple of days ago in the press conference. Jim Schlossnagle made the comment that, I hope a guy like Nathan Detmer actually sat there and watched what, Mike and Dallas did on this big stage. And, he did not look very good against Oklahoma. Command was iffy. He didn't look like he was real dialed in. He looked like he was, very much dialed in against Notre Dame. He was sinking the fastball. He was commanding on the inside of the part of the plate. That's the one thing with Detmer. If he's commanding on the inside part of the plate, he is very, very difficult to hit. And I think that proved to be true. And then the other thing is Notre Dame. Rune said, we kind of made the comment in the press box, but like they just look like they were out of gas. And I don't know what it was, but sorry, my 8-year-old is playing music on my computer through Spotify.
That's amazing.
It was Christmas music. Anyways, I just think when you look at Notre Dame overall, like you had the base running mistake. I mean, I thought the microcosm of the game was there in the 9th when they get a guy on base, Jack Brannigan, a guy who's been around the block for 4 years now.
3 years.
He gets picked off. Yeah, 3 years. He gets picked off at first. I thought that was that game in a nutshell.
Yeah, it was not Notre Dame baseball, and for me, the game in the nutshell was what was it? The 3rd inning when A&M jumped out there with 3 runs. It was it was just like basically Notre Dame gave them everything that inning. It was like a walk, it was a balk, it was a misplayed pop up where the center fielder should have taken charge and didn't. And then he threw to the wrong base to allow the trail runner to advance. And then we had another walk, and then we had an error. And it's just like a 2-base error. I mean, it's like none of that was really earned. It was all given. It was all freebies the entire inning. And so, okay, you can say A&M, well, they earn walks. Okay, fair. But like those are free 90s. Okay. Everyone knows that. So it was just a really Notre Dame like performance. And again, certainly you're right. Credit A&M because they do that to you. They like Bruins. I think you nailed it. They excel at winning ugly. And right now it feels like I thought you nailed it yesterday too. It's an uncomfortable team to play. It's a team that nobody wants to play. If you're not fine with your strike throwing, you're in for a long day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just interesting that Notre Dame usually they make you earn everything. Yesterday, they gifted some stuff to A&M, to your point, Fitzy, and then usually Notre Dame is awesome at game planning for a pitcher. And, Nathan Detmer, they just it was
Yeah.
the same outs over and over again. There was like they just couldn't. I think, Kendall, I think ultimately your diagnosis is where I land. I think this is an incredible year for Notre Dame. Um, considering there's no Nico Cavadas in this lineup, there's no Tanner Colehep,
Yeah.
as per last year. They just look gassed, and it
Well,
really is an
yeah.
incredible season.
Well, the other thing too is like just emotionally, mentally, like imagine how much that series against Tennessee kind of took out of this team. That
Yeah.
was a very, very hard fought emotional series. And at some point I think that kind of takes its toll a little bit as we get, further into this tournament.
Yeah, and so of course, future conversations we will learn more about what Link Jarrett does
Yeah.
um, in the next week with Florida State, but all that said, a miraculous season, really an incredible 3-year
Yeah.
run for Notre Dame's program, and changes. I guess maybe I shouldn't say changes on the horizon, but it does feel like
Yeah. Well,
something's on the horizon.
yeah, I mean, the thing about Lee Jarrett is like he's accomplished what he can accomplish at Notre Dame. Obviously, your goal is to win a national championship, but you're talking about a guy who got this team off to a great start during the COVID year. They were 11-2. They had just swept North Carolina. They get to a super regional last year. They win a game and get to Omaha this year. I mean, if you're Lee Jarrett, like and you have this veteran class, like you've accomplished what you need to accomplish at Notre Dame. And given the fact that his family's at Florida State, he's a Florida State guy. Like it just, I mean, I would be very, very shocked if it's anything but him heading to Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Stay tuned. Boys, let's do Arkansas and Auburn. Fitzy, why don't you kick that one off for us?
Arkansas absolutely blitzed Auburn in this game. It was kind of a repeat of the first Arkansas game in Omaha that they won 17-1. I mean, they took control from the get-go. I know it's just one run in the first, and they kind of opened it up in I think the third and the fourth, tacking on. But I mean, their offense. Looking back, it's even more impressive. That what Ole Miss did to them in the winners bracket game the other night, because this offense feels unstoppable right now. With Lanzilli and Turner in the middle, those guys are hot. You move Peyton Stovall up to the 2-hole, it gets you 5 hits. He's been on fire since the postseason began, and I feel like Dave Van Horn said it well. He's like, we've got a kind of a glimpse of the future right now. The future is now. For Stovall, it's come. This is the guy we thought we'd see all year. He looks really good. And then of course the big story for me anyway, what was Will McIntyre. I mean, kind of did as Kendall, you said this yesterday. He kind of did for Arkansas what Detmer did for A&M. I mean, it was just ate up those innings, kept their pitching staff fresh to keep to help them be prepared to run through the losers bracket. And I was so impressed. I mean, it's the first time I'd seen him in person. It was command of the fastball at 88-91, not overpowering fastball, but he got some swing and miss with that fastball because he kept hitters off balance so well. Cutter was really good and sharp, I thought. And so was the downer breaking ball. It was a tight pitch, guys. Like 78, 80 mile an hour, 12-6er. Like it's a good pitch. And he had a changeup, when he needed it. But I thought really the curveball, the cutter were what stood out. And he just seemed unflappable. And talked to him after the game, he's one of those low heartbeat guys. I mean, it's very plain spoken, matter of fact, just kind of a keep your head down. And yep. I mean, he didn't seem like he was at all bright eyed about the moment. It was just like, yeah, this is what you work for, Just like, okay,
Nice.
Yeah,
he's that guy.
just another day at the office.
Yep.
Love it. Kendall, what's your take on
You
this one?
know, we talked about how Notre Dame kind of set the tone on the negative end in the other game early on. I thought Arkansas set the tone on the opposite end in this game. You look at, Aaron mentioned Will McIntyre. How about the play by Jalen Battles there early in the game to turn that
Yeah.
double play? He kind of
Huge.
cuts Bob Moore off, touches second, goes to first, and like from that point on, you're thinking like, man, Arkansas is like 100% all in, dialed in. And they just played like that throughout the entire game. I was really impressed. I think they got a shot to win 2 games here. But let's give a hat tip to Auburn too. I mean, this is a program that got back to Omaha this year after having a rough season last year. Let's face it, they were picked at the bottom of the SEC or near the bottom of the SEC by all of us coming into the season. And Butch Thompson did a great job with his team. To lose Hayden Mullins down the stretch during the regular season, still find their way to Omaha with Sonny D and company. That's a really successful season for Auburn. So, intrigued to see what they do moving forward. This is now 2 of the last 3 years they've got in Omaha. 2 of the last 3 full seasons they've got in Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like for Auburn, they're rebranding what we know about that program from they've become a very consistent postseason performer, not just postseason attender. And you're right. That's a good point out, KR, that Auburn with a season with very low expectations or very, we didn't know what to expect. Butch Thompson told you, Fitzy, like we could be anything. I don't know.
And let's not forget the year before they got to Omaha, they almost got here if that ball doesn't bounce over the outfielder's head against Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Super. So I mean, they could very easily be, 3 of the last 4 full seasons in Omaha.
Really impressive. It's really impressive what they've done. That coaching staff has done. For a program that hadn't been to Omaha since 1997. To now have been here twice in the last 3 years and almost 3 times, as you pointed out. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. The program is really in good hands, and in that division, the toughest division in all of sports. Really, I mean, it's they got three SEC West teams here in Omaha. Do I have that right, or is it 4? It's 4. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, my goodness, it's just, that is a meat grinder of a division. And for them to have the success they've had there with, I think it's fair to say, fewer resources compared to some of their peers in the league when it comes to fewer advantages, when it comes to like scholarships and things like that and in-state talent. I mean, they've found a way to make it work. And it's a neat story.
Yep. And you guys, I would totally concur with what you guys said. Like Arkansas has just played brilliantly since the postseason began. And by the way, Fitzy, and I want you guys to fact check me on this. I think Peyton Stovall's got 21 hits in the postseason right now,
I would buy it. He had 5 yesterday for starters, but I mean, I think he was hitting like, was he hitting like 250 or 260 when the postseason started, and he's up to like 310 now or something. So he's
309. Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming.
No doubt.
Yeah, crazy.
It's like we've been waiting on it all year, and like he's shown glimpses of it, but it's like highs and then all of a sudden down, and now he's just on fire.
Yeah, it's really it's hard. I'm forcing myself to try and recalibrate what I think of them, because like even Bob Moore, I feel like I've just kind of pushed to the side. He's playing really good baseball right now, but not Battles and Stovall. I mean, yeah, I think Jalen Battles has also been brilliant in the postseason. So.
Bob Moore had that big double into the corner yesterday, 2-run double, I believe, that kind of helped break that thing open. And the other thing is that we have a comment here from Preston in the comments. The Auburn left fielder wanted to go home about the 5th inning. Yeah, they lost a couple balls in the sun out there. That sun is tough, and that played a factor of this game. And it seemed like whenever that happened, Arkansas pounced and made them pay.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Arkansas has played great. They just pitched poorly one game. That's really why they sit here in the losers bracket.
Yeah.
All right, let's do. Oh, go ahead, Kendall.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say we might as well just segue into the Ole Miss game tonight.
Yeah, you want to do that one first? So the night game will be Arkansas Ole Miss. Hagen Smith for Arkansas. It sounds like John Gaddis, the transfer from, he's from Corpus, right?
Yeah.
Gaddis. Yep.
Yeah.
For Ole Miss. What? Kendall, go ahead. What do you got? This SEC West matchup.
I do not like the matchup between John Gaddis against Arkansas's lineup, and I'll say this as well: this is one of those classic days, and we'll talk a little bit about this with OU and A&M as well. But this is one of those classic days that, like, if Arkansas can get to a decent lead, like Ole Miss is not going to empty out the tank bullpen wise to keep this game close. And so it's a big part of this game is going to be their offense, because I think Arkansas is going to score runs against Ole Miss. I think the biggest thing for me is what I'm curious to see is Hagen Smith on the stage. I mean, he was electric in the Stillwater regional. He's obviously got premier stuff, but he is a freshman playing with their season on the line. I like how Arkansas sets up the middle of the bullpen. I like the fact that Brady Tigert is 100% rested. They can bring him in the 7th or 8th if they need to. I just think this game has Arkansas written all over it, which probably means Ole Miss wins it.
Fitzy?
It does feel like it has Arkansas written all over it, doesn't it? I mean, I agree with everything Kendall just said. And you want a lefty against Ole Miss, according to the splits. That's why they tried it with Zach Morris the other day. It didn't work. I thought from the beginning that Hagen Smith would have made more sense in that game if you're going to go with a lefty. And so we'll see if it works this time around. But the Gaddis thing is such an X factor because, I mean, he wasn't great in a starting role this year, but I mean, he has been in the past. I know this is maybe a different level, different stage, but I mean, like, he's an experienced guy who's had some success in his career, and they don't need him to go 7 innings. Their bullpen is good and deep, and you've got Josh Mallett sitting there, and you've got, he can be extended. Certainly, you've got Brandon Johnson, you got Jack Washburn. I mean, Jack Doherty. They're ready to go. If they can just have the lead about the 3rd or 4th inning, and then you just go to your guys. And so you made a good point though, Kendall. It's kind of like it's a little bit of an awkward position almost to be in the winner's bracket here when you only got to win one game, the other team's got to win 2. Because if you're behind 2 or 3 runs, what do you do then? Do you hold back a little bit, or do you just still try to like win it tonight 100% and throw all your guys out there? I mean, I always think that's an awkward position. Whereas if you're Arkansas, you just go, throw the kitchen sink and worry about tomorrow later. All that said, I picked Ole Miss on this side of the bracket, and so I'm going to say they get it done tonight. I think Ole Miss finds a way. They've just played so well out here. Even though I agree with you, it kind of feels like Arkansas has momentum and they're dangerous. They're really scary. My head says maybe Arkansas, but I'm just going to go with my gut and go Ole Miss.
I like it. By the way, Hagen Smith in late April faced Ole Miss and dealt. He was very, very good in that game, which would make sense. Ole Miss probably wasn't playing very good right then, and the matchup does
they're playing
favor
a little
him.
different level.
Different team.
Right. Yeah, boys, I'm going to go Arkansas. I just think Arkansas feels a little bit like an unstoppable force right now.
Yeah.
And the pitching staff feels deeper to me, and so give me the Hogs. Kendall, why don't you kick us off with A&M OU?
Well, I mean, it's almost like the same discussion we just had on Ole Miss, Arkansas. I think when you look at Oklahoma, it's one of those things, and you've been a coach before, so you kind of know this as well as anybody. But like, I just feel like when it comes to like Oklahoma, like when you're rolling the way they are, like you almost don't want 2 days off. Like when you're playing that well, and I just think when you look at David Sandlin against that A&M lineup, I thought they saw him very well a few days ago. To the point where they were kind of holding on for dear life at the end and had to bring in Trevin Michael with 13 runs on the board. But I just thought they saw him very well. And I think just like we discussed with Ole Miss, I think Oklahoma's going to be in a situation to where, if A&M extended a 3 or 4 run lead, I don't think they're bringing in Trevin Michael. Like I think they're just kind of emptying out the bullpen and playing for tomorrow. So I think A&M sees him well. The other thing to obviously keep an eye on here is A&M starting pitching. Oklahoma has taken so many pitches in this College World Series. They see pitchers well. They have great at bats. They don't swing at bad pitches. So it's going to be paramount for a guy like Ryan Prager, a freshman. We just talked about Hagen Smith, a freshman, but a freshman and Ryan Prager to go out there and throw strikes for A&M. With that said, a lot like we talked about Brady Tiger. Granted, Polish isn't rested, but A&M can now go. Will Johnson out of the bullpen. He's thrown like 1 inning in this tournament, and then they can go back to Polish. So A&M's got pieces in the bullpen. I think we're playing 2 games tomorrow.
Fitzy?
I'm going to go Aggies also, and to me, it feels to me like the Sandlin matchup feels kind of like the Liam Simon matchup. Liam Simon has electric stuff for Notre Dame, and he looked good in the first inning. I mean, it was just 1, 2, 3 with strikeouts, and but I mean, like is that a guy that you can you can count on to throw strikes multiple innings against the most disciplined team in the country. Simon, I don't think that was borne out, and I don't think Sandlin is either. He's a guy with stuff, and in a normal matchup, you can get by if you're not 100% locked in. Yeah, that's right, Matt Scoggins. I'm picking
He's
the
very
Ags.
disappointed that you finally picked the Aggies.
I'm 0 for 22 when it comes to picking Texas A&M games correctly. 0 for 22 for 2022, I should say. And that let's see if that continues. I'm gonna go Texas A&M. I just feel like they're that team nobody wants to play right now because they're a pain in the ass, guys. They're a pain in the ass. You can't put them away. And they got me. They got me right now. I think they go out there and find a way.
Yep. I think I'll get ahead of myself and say I think OU is the team that ends up in the finals, but I think A&M wins this game. A&M is you guys are the journalists. You might have to help me with the word, but the word A&M is such a contradiction or a paradox to me where you guys know I believe in good coaching. And so A&M is encouraging, like Jim Schlossingel takes over and puts this rock star coaching staff together, and it's working, which is awesome. But man, they stink at defense. Like I could say that better, but like it really is stinky. Like it's just they kick like Werner kicking the ball in the first inning and then them winning easily is like so A&M, where like the laws of physics and baseball don't apply to them. So that's where I'm torn with A&M. It's like I love their coaching staff and they do some really smart things, but like I thought defense mattered in college baseball. They're making this very strong case that it doesn't matter, and I'd be lying if I said that didn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I will say this about Oklahoma. And if I'm Reggie Willits and I'm kind of managing that offense today, early on, even if I'm giving up and out, I'm making Ryan Prager field bunts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting that bunt game going. I'm being aggressive on the base pads. I'm going to get his head spinning a little bit and make them make plays in the bunt game, because in the first meeting, A&M did not make plays in the bunt game, and OU jumped out to a big lead.
Yeah, and A&M's offense is so viable, though. That's the thing. Like they played poorly and still almost won. It's just really And didn't the Notre Dame players say that in their presser that they were trying to get to the bunting game?
Yeah,
I think they might have mentioned that.
Link said that. Yeah, but I mean, and the thing is, yesterday, I mean, I picked Notre Dame because I said they're the better defensive team and it's going to matter at some point. And then what happened? Notre Dame went out and played crappy defense. So, I mean, they played A&M, to their credit, despite kicking the first ball of the game, played better defense yesterday than one of the best defensive teams in the country.
Yep. So I'm with you guys. I'm picking A&M and Arkansas, meaning doubleheader on Thursday, and let's go. Let's play the feud.
Hey, Runes, this
Yes,
is gonna give you hives. Preston Hudson in the chat says A&M has a 950 fielding percentage in the tournament. So
yeah,
how are we feeling about that pick now? Still okay?
Yeah.
Is that like a team getting to the Final Four with like a 22% field goal percentage?
They're fielding 950, but they have a 950 winning percentage in the postseason too. Right? Again, my feelings are hurt. Like apparently A&M is out to prove that Clankfest wins. I'm not a fan.
Clankfest.
So anyway,
they're just trying to make things interesting, Runes.
That's right. I like it. I appreciate that. And
you know what they are? You know what they are? They're the 1995 New York Knicks.
Oh,
it's just
what a comp.
I'm just
So who's John Starks?
We'll have to get back to you on that. I'm so workshopping
Charles
this
Oakley. Who would be Charles Oakley?
Who was the power forward? Anthony Mason, who was built like a statue. Goodness gracious. So, all right, boys. Well, let's go get some teams to the finals. Let's see if we can accomplish that. And thanks again to our presenting sponsor for the postseason, Wilson. Those guys have been great. Check their stuff out. As Fitzy would say, we love likes. If you're on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. That is very, very helpful to the enterprise.
Smash it.
Crush it. Get angry at your computer. So that's it. Everybody enjoy the doubleheader, and we will catch up tomorrow.